let's talk about my dear colleague, Australia's greatest psychiatrist, unfortunately dead now for about 20 years, Ainslie Meares. And he went around the world trying to find ways of really alleviating pain. And he wrote how he met the wise man of Kathmandu, who was said to be 134 years of age and who meditated 16 hours a day. So Ainslie asked him, "Do you feel pain?" He said, "Of course I do, but it doesn't hurt." It doesn't hurt. Now, pain is physiological. You know, you hit yourself, you set off nerve endings, you're going to get pain. But it doesn't mean it has to hurt. How many times have you seen a kid, for example, smash his thumb with the hammer by mistake, come running to mummy? Mummy cuddles him, he stops crying, he goes back with his activities, but his thumb is still red and pulsating. The histamine is still being released. Pain impulses are going up the pain fibers. His brain is registering pain, but his heart isn't registering hurt. I had this with my little niece once. She got hit right in the face with a tennis ball. And she's about 8, and she is crying and crying. She's obviously in pain. So I go over and I cuddled her and I just asked her to breathe, and we just gently breathed together. In no more than a minute or two, she was back playing tennis. The nerve impulses were still sending pain signals. Her face was still red, but she was no longer in hurt. And hurt is when you don't feel loved. Hurt relates to the mother. You go to mama crying, she cuddles you, she comforts you, she reassures you of belovedness. And the hurt goes, and the pain does its own thing. And that's what that to me, and I think to Ainslie, was the greatest teaching of the wise man of Kathmandu. Ainslie also writes how he came across a little Kuan Yin, a little Chinese god of love, mother of love, little statue in, I think it was Hong Kong. And he fell in love with it, and he put it on his mantelpiece, and in a sense meditated on it, meditated to it, my words. And he would go around the world trying to find others, but there was never one quite like this one. And his family used to sort of, chide him for doing this, but it was something very special. And I believe that all of his later work with meditation for cancer and his ability to deal with pain, he used to, if a person came to him in pain, which was in a sense really hurt, he would wrap a taper around his arm, light it, and keep talking to them. And in essence, they would say, "Don't you feel the pain?" He would say, "Yes, I feel the pain, but it doesn't hurt." Because he felt loved by the Kuan Yin, loved by the Kuan Yin as his mother, loved by his mother as the Kuan Yin. And that, to me, out of all of his writings, marvellous as they are, that's the most enlightened passage. I remember talking to the relatives of a cancer patient who died from cancer, who was also a patient of a very wonderful English spiritual healer called Michael Chapman. And you just have to sit with Michael Chapman and feel what's coming from him, and you have no hurt. And the family described how this woman had terrible cancer, which ate her away, from which she died. Michael Chapman, nor allopathic medicine, was able to cure her physical body. But everything they said, the relatives said, is that she had some pain at the end, but she had no hurt. And through the psychic healing, through the healer finding her love, and in helping her, as it were, to find her mother's love for her and his own love for her, this woman found belovedness. And so what I understood from the family is she died, as she lived her last year or two, in a very enlightened state, and died a peaceful, grateful death. So to me, that's healing. And he didn't have to do anything really but just sit there and emanate to her.